Sometimes Allah takes away the map, not to leave you lost, but to teach you who to follow. When every plan falls apart and every direction feels uncertain, that's not a punishment. That's an invitation. An invitation to walk, not by sight, but by faith. There are moments in life when everything seems clear and you believe you finally know where you're going. You've drawn the map, marked the destinations, and set your heart on the journey. But then, without warning, that map disappears. The road that once felt certain suddenly fades into confusion, and you're left wondering what went wrong. The doors you thought would open remain shut, and the plans you held so tightly begin to fall apart before your eyes. It feels like loss, like failure, but it's something deeper. It's divine intervention. When Allah takes away the map, He's not leaving you lost. He's redirecting you. He removes what stands between you and Him, what blinds you to the greater wisdom behind your journey. Sometimes, what you wanted so desperately would have led you further from peace, and He loved you too much to let that happen. Every closed door is not rejection, it's protection. Every detour is not a delay, it's preparation. The disappearance of the map is not a punishment, but an act of mercy. In those moments of confusion, it's easy to fall into fear and doubt. We ask why, we resist, we try to redraw the map on our own terms. But faith begins where the map ends. That's when Allah invites you to walk, not by sight, but by trust. To move forward, not because you can see the road, but because you know who is guiding your steps. It is in the uncertainty that your heart learns to listen, to lean, and to find comfort in His plan rather than your own. Sometimes, what feels like being lost is actually being guided. Allah doesn't want you to walk with confidence in your map. He wants you to walk with confidence in Him. The removal of certainty is His way of drawing you closer, reminding you that control was never yours to begin with. Every time you feel lost, it's a chance to pause, to look inward, and to reconnect with the one who never loses his way. So when the map disappears, don't despair. The path you thought was yours may have ended, but the journey toward Allah has just begun. Let the unknown humble you, not break you. Because in that silence, in that stillness, there is direction, not on paper, but in your heart. And that is where the true map lies, written not by your hands, but by His. There are moments in life when the light fades, and you can no longer see the road you were once confident to walk. Everything that once made sense starts to feel uncertain, and the plans that once felt solid begin to crumble. In that darkness, you may feel like your world has stopped moving, like Allah has turned away. But that darkness is not a punishment. It's a sacred pause, a space where your heart learns what trust truly means. It's where the soul is stripped of illusions and learns that clarity does not come from knowing the path, but from knowing the one who guides it. It's easy to have faith when life feels predictable, when every door opens in your favor and the road ahead is well lit. But faith built on comfort is fragile. It's in the dark seasons, the heartbreaks, the losses, the waiting, that faith is tested and strengthened. When you walk without seeing, every step becomes an act of surrender. Every breath becomes a whisper of, "Way Allah, I trust you even when I don't understand." That's where faith stops being a word and becomes a living reality. Sometimes Allah hides the path so that you stop relying on your own strength. When life feels uncertain, you are reminded that guidance doesn't come from your plans, your knowledge, or your efforts. It comes from Him alone. The loss of direction is really the loss of illusion, and in that loss, you are gifted with something much greater. The realization that every turn, every delay, and every silence still carries His mercy. The darkness teaches you to lean on His light instead of your own. In that unseen journey, your heart begins to soften. You start to understand that not seeing the whole road doesn't mean you're lost. You're being trained to walk with trust rather than control. You begin to feel that Allah's nearness isn't found in perfect plans, but in imperfect moments where you have no choice but to hold on to Him. The fear that once surrounded you begins to fade, replaced by a quiet strength, the kind that grows only in surrender. So, when life feels dark and directionless, remember that even the night holds purpose. The same Allah who guided you in daylight will guide you through the storm. What feels like darkness is often His way of deepening your faith, polishing your heart, and preparing you for a light that's stronger and purer than before. The road may be hidden, but you are never walking alone. For even when you cannot see the way, His light still walks beside you. Detachment is one of the hardest lessons the soul must learn. When something or someone you love deeply is taken away, it feels like a piece of your heart has been torn out. You wonder why it happened, why the things that once brought you peace now bring pain. You replay the memories, the plans, and the moments that felt certain, only to realize they've slipped through your hands. It's in those moments of loss that you feel both fragile and exposed, as if the very foundation of your world has shifted. But even in that pain, there is wisdom, a hidden mercy that only time and faith can reveal. Allah never takes without purpose. When He removes what you cling to, it is not to punish you, but to purify you. We become so attached to people, outcomes, and dreams that we start to place our security in them. We forget that everything we love is temporary, a trust that can be taken back at any moment. So, Allah detaches your heart not to break it, but to redirect it. From creation to the Creator, from the fleeting to the eternal. What you lose in this world, you gain in closeness to Him if you choose to see beyond the pain. There is a sacred transformation that happens in detachment. When you finally let go of what was never meant to stay, your heart begins to breathe again. You start to find peace not in what you hold, but in who holds you. The love that once made you dependent now teaches you freedom. The kind of freedom that comes when your soul realizes it was never meant to lean on what could fall. That freedom doesn't come instantly. It's a slow healing, a process of surrendering piece by piece until your heart rests fully in Allah's care. Through every tear and every ache, Allah is teaching you a deeper form of love. One that doesn't shatter when things change. One that remains steady no matter what is taken away. The more you lose for His sake, the more space your heart has for peace. You learn that loving through Allah is different from loving without Him. It's pure, balanced, and unshakable. It doesn't possess, it doesn't cling, it trusts. It knows that what belongs to you will never miss you, and what misses you was never meant for you. So, when you feel the sting at detachment, don't see it as a loss. See it as a calling. Allah is pulling you closer, freeing you from the chains of dependency so you can finally walk with light instead of fear. He takes so He can give better. He empties your hands so He can fill them with something eternal. And in that space between loss and peace, you discover something beautiful. That nothing you've surrendered to Him is ever truly gone. It only returns in a purer, everlasting form. There are times when life slows down, when everything you prayed for seems to be held back, and the silence from Allah feels endless. You begin to wonder if your prayers have been heard, if your tears have reached the heavens, or if somehow you've been left behind. In those moments, patience feels heavy and waiting feels like walking through fog. Yet within that stillness lies one of the greatest tests of faith, the ability to trust Allah when there is no visible sign of His plan. That silence isn't absence, it's a divine pause, filled with lessons only the heart can hear. When Allah delays something you desperately want, it's never because He's forgotten you. It's because His wisdom sees what your eyes cannot. What you call waiting is often preparation. The things you ask for might not be denied. They might just be postponed until your heart is ready to hold them with gratitude, not attachment. Allah's timing is never late. He knows when your heart has healed enough, when your patience has grown deep enough, and when the gift will truly serve your soul instead of feeding your ego. There are moments when we think silence means rejection, but in truth, silence is protection. If Allah gave us everything we wanted when we wanted it, many of us would drown in blessings we weren't ready to carry. His pauses are mercy in disguise, shaping us through time, pain, and reflection. Every unanswered dua teaches us humility, softens our hearts, and draws us closer to Him. The wait itself becomes an act of worship, a quiet reminder that love for Allah isn't measured by what He gives, but by how long we're willing to trust Him even when He doesn't. In waiting, you begin to see that every delay holds purpose. Sometimes Allah withholds not to hurt you, but to redirect you to something better. A door that doesn't open might be saving you from harm. A dream that doesn't unfold might be guiding you toward a more meaningful path. With every still moment, He's writing a story that is unfolding perfectly. Just not on your schedule. The soul that learns to wait with faith instead of frustration finds peace in knowing that Allah's plan will never miss its time. So the next time you feel the ache of waiting, remember that silence is not emptiness. It's a sacred space where Allah is working in unseen ways. The delay you fear might be the mercy that saves you. The unanswered prayer might be the protection that preserves your peace. Trust the pause, because it's in that pause that your faith grows roots, your heart learns surrender, and your soul discovers that Allah's timing was never about delay. It was about perfection. We spend so much of our lives trying to control everything around us. We plan, we calculate, and we imagine every possible outcome, believing that if we work hard enough or think far enough ahead, we can make life bend to our will. But sooner or later, Allah shows us that control is an illusion. He allows unexpected turns, unforeseen losses, and unanswered prayers to remind us that the story was never ours to write. It's in those moments when our plans fall apart that we realize true peace isn't in controlling life. It's in surrendering to the one who already controls it. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means recognizing that Allah's wisdom is far beyond our understanding. We often cling to our desires as if they define us. But sometimes what we want isn't what we need. When you release that grip and allow Allah to lead, you find a calm that planning can never give. You stop asking, "Why did this happen?" and start whispering, "I trust that there's a reason." That shift doesn't come easily. It's a journey of faith that begins when your heart gets tired of fighting what was always meant to be. Surrendering to Allah doesn't mean life becomes effortless. It means your heart learns how to rest even in the middle of uncertainty. You start to see the wisdom in things not working out. You begin to understand that disappointment is often protection, and redirection is a hidden blessing. When you walk with Allah, you learn to replace your fears with trust and your anxiety with remembrance. You stop needing to know every detail of the path because you trust the one who designed it. It takes courage to surrender. The world teaches us that strength is in control, but faith teaches that strength is in letting go. The moment you say, "I trust you, Ya Allah," something inside you changes. The weight you've been carrying begins to lift because you finally stop trying to carry what was never yours. The heart that surrenders doesn't break under life's pressures. It bends and bows gracefully, finding balance between effort and acceptance. That's the kind of strength that no failure can destroy. When you walk with Allah, you realize that surrender is not weakness, it's freedom. It's the peace that comes when you no longer chase outcomes, but chase the one who holds them all. Every hardship, every delay, every loss begins to make sense in the light of His wisdom. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but you know who holds you. And that's enough. Because the one who walks with Allah never walks alone. And even when the path is hidden, the heart that trusts Him is always home. We spend so much of our lives chasing destinations that we believe will bring peace. We chase success, love, recognition, and security, thinking that once we arrive, the emptiness will disappear. But the truth is, every worldly destination fades. The joy of achieving what you wanted eventually quiets, and the heart begins searching again. It's a cycle that never ends until you realize that the destination you've been searching for isn't a place, a person, or an achievement. It's closeness to Allah. That nearness fills the spaces that nothing else can reach. When the heart connects with Allah, everything else starts to fall into its proper place. The chaos outside no longer shakes you the way it once did, because your peace is no longer tied to outcomes. The more you walk with Allah, the less desperate you become for validation, the less anxious you feel about what's ahead. You begin to understand that the real journey is inward, to purify the heart, to detach from the temporary, and to strengthen your bond with the one who never leaves. That is where true contentment is found. Even in confusion, you are never lost when Allah is your guide. Sometimes He hides clarity to strengthen your faith, to teach you that peace doesn't depend on knowing the way, but on trusting the one who leads you through it. You may not understand the purpose behind every twist and turn, but when your focus shifts from, where am I going, to who am I walking with, the journey transforms. Each moment, even the painful ones, becomes sacred because it's shared with Him. The heart that walks toward Allah learns that stillness and struggle can coexist. You can be in hardship and still be at peace. You can have unanswered questions and still feel guided. That's the beauty of faith. It doesn't remove the storms, but it gives you an anchor that holds you steady through them. The more you turn to Allah, the more you see His signs around you, the more you recognize His mercy in things you once resented, and the more grateful you become for every step that led you closer to Him. So when you feel uncertain about where life is leading, remember that the destination was never about reaching a perfect life. It was about reaching a peaceful heart. Every struggle, every prayer, every moment of surrender was part of the path bringing you nearer to Allah. And when you finally reach that place of closeness, you'll realize you were never lost at all. You were always being led, gently, perfectly, and lovingly back to Him. So if you've lost your way, don't panic. Maybe Allah removed the map so you could finally take His hand. Because sometimes losing direction is the first step toward finding Him. And when you find Him, you realize you were never lost at all.